Have you ever wondered why some people, despite their good looks, can sometimes be incredibly unattractive? It's a curious question, isn't it? After all, attractiveness isn't just about physical appeal. It's a complex amalgamation of personality traits, behaviors, and even the way we communicate. In this exploration, we'll uncover some personality traits that can turn a seemingly attractive man into someone quite the opposite. Traits like arrogance, that can cloud over even the most handsome face with a smog of self-importance. Or pessimism, a trait that can transform a charming smile into a perpetual frown. Insensitivity and dishonesty too can chip away at attractiveness, leaving room for disappointment and mistrust. And let's not forget jealousy, an emotion that can tarnish the most golden of personalities. So, are you ready to dive into this intriguing pool of human behavior? Let's delve into the real-life stories that illustrate these unappealing traits. Meet Alex, a man who believes he's the best at everything he does. Alex is the epitome of confidence. He walks with an air of superiority. His words are bathed in self-praise, and his actions scream, "I'm better than you." But let's delve a little deeper and see how this arrogance plays out in his life. Alex has a knack for turning every conversation into a showcase of his achievements. A casual chat about weekend plans quickly spirals into a monologue about his latest business venture. A discussion about a movie ends up being a lesson on film direction, even though his knowledge is limited to a couple of YouTube videos. His arrogance doesn't stop at boasting, though. Alex has a habit of disregarding others' opinions, believing his to always be superior. He dismisses his friends' advice, disregards his colleagues' input, and even overlooks his partner's feelings. To him, there's no perspective more valuable than his own. But here's the kicker. Alex doesn't realize that his arrogance is pushing people away. He mistakes people's avoidance for awe, their silence for agreement. He believes he's admired, when in fact he's alienating those around him. His relationships are strained, his friendships are superficial, and his love life is rocky, all because of his inflated ego. Now don't get us wrong, confidence is attractive. It's a sign of self-assuredness, of belief in one's capabilities. But Alex's arrogance is a distorted version of confidence. It's a facade masking insecurity, a desperate attempt to assert dominance where it's not required. Humility, on the other hand, is a vastly underrated trait. It's about acknowledging your strengths without belittling others. It's about accepting that you're not always the smartest person in the room. It's about learning from others and valuing their perspectives. Remember, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. One can attract while the other repels. One can build relationships while the other strains them. One can lead to growth while the other to stagnation. Arrogance, as seen in Alex's story, can be a major turnoff. So, let's strive for confidence, tempered with humility, for that's the mark of a truly attractive personality. Peter, on the other hand, is someone who always sees the glass as half empty. Meet Peter. He's the embodiment of a pessimist. You know the type. Every silver lining has a cloud. Every rose has its thorn. Peter is a pro at spotting the thorn. He's always prepared for the worst and rarely surprised by the best. But what Peter doesn't realize is that his constant negativity is making him unattractive to those around him. Let's delve into Peter's story a bit. Peter is a successful businessman. He's got a lot going for him, but no matter how well things are going, Peter is always expecting the worst. He's always worried about the next big financial crash, the potential health scare, the possible relationship hiccup. His friends and colleagues have started to avoid him at social gatherings because they know that Peter will bring the mood down. His constant negativity is draining, and it's making him unattractive. Now, it's not that being cautious or prepared is a bad thing, but Peter's outlook goes beyond caution. He's stuck in a cycle of negativity, unable to appreciate the good things in life. His pessimism is overshadowing his achievements, his strengths, and his potential. Positivity and optimism, on the other hand, are attractive qualities. They draw people in. They make people want to be around you. They make people see you as a source of light and energy, not a drain. Optimistic people see opportunities where others see obstacles. They inspire and motivate those around them. They radiate an energy that is contagious, an energy that makes them attractive. Peter could learn a lot from the optimists. He could learn to see the good in things, to focus on the positive instead of the negative. He could learn to appreciate the moment, to live in the present instead of always worrying about the future. He could learn to see the glass as half full, not half empty. As Peter shows us, constant negativity can drain the attractiveness out of a person. Now let's talk about Ian, a man who lacks empathy for others. Ian, with his sharp wit and quick humor, was the life of any gathering. But behind that charismatic facade, he was oblivious to other people's feelings and struggles, making him an example of how insensitivity can tarnish a personality. Ian's insensitivity was not a hidden trait. It was glaringly obvious, even in the smallest of his actions. He was the type to laugh when someone slipped on a banana peel, never considering the embarrassment or pain they might feel. His jokes often came at the expense of others, and he seemed to have an uncanny knack for zeroing in on people's insecurities. This lack of empathy extended to his relationships as well. He had a tendency to dismiss his friends' problems, stating they were overreacting or being too sensitive. He never took the time to understand their feelings or perspectives, making his friends feel unheard and undervalued. In one instance, his friend Lily was going through a tough breakup. Instead of being there for her, Ian brushed off her feelings, saying things like, "You'll get over it," or "There are plenty of fish in the sea." His lack of empathy made Lily feel isolated in her pain, and this incident became a turning point in their friendship, causing a rift that never quite healed. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a crucial aspect of any relationship. It's what allows us to connect with others on a deeper level. Without it, relationships tend to be superficial and lack genuine connection. Ian's story is a stark reminder of how insensitivity can make a person unattractive. His lack of empathy, his disregard for other people's feelings, drove people away from him. It's not about being perfect or always saying the right thing, but about being understanding and respectful of other people's feelings. Ian's story reveals how insensitivity can make a person unappealing. It's a reminder that attractiveness goes beyond physical appearance or charisma. It lies in our actions, in our ability to empathize, and in the respect we show towards others' feelings. Next, we have Dan, a man who has a casual relationship with the truth. Meet Dan, a charming and charismatic individual who could easily be the life of any party. But there's a catch. Dan has an unsettling knack for bending the truth, a trait that soon overshadows his charisma. Dan is not one to lie about big things. No, his dishonesty is more subtle, more insidious. He would tell you he's read that new best-selling book even though he's only skimmed the blurb. He'd claim to have been at that famous concert, though he only watched it on TV. At first, these small lies might not seem like a big deal. After all, who gets hurt if Dan pretends to have seen a movie he hasn't? But over time, these tiny distortions of reality pile up. They create an image of Dan that's not genuine, an image built on false pretenses. The real problem with Dan's dishonesty is not the lies themselves, but the breach of trust they represent. Each lie, no matter how small, is a crack in the foundation of trust. And without trust, any relationship, be it romantic, friendly, or professional, is bound to crumble. Honesty, on the other hand, is an attractive quality. It shows respect for others and for oneself. It signifies integrity, a trait that's appealing in any context. Honesty is brave. It's the courage to be oneself, to embrace one's flaws and strengths, to live without pretense. And that's where Dan falls short. His dishonesty reveals a lack of self-confidence, a fear of being seen as he truly is. It's a mask, a facade, a defense mechanism. And while it might fool some people for a while, it ultimately makes him less attractive. To be truly appealing, remember to be like the oak, not the reed. Stand tall in your truth, not bend under the weight of deceit. Dishonesty, as exemplified by Dan, can make a person very unattractive. Finally, let's meet Joe, a man who is constantly jealous of others. Joe is a guy who has a lot going for him. He's intelligent, has a steady job, and a good sense of humor. But there's one thing that overshadows all his positive attributes: his constant jealousy. For instance, when Joe's friend Mike bought a new car, Joe couldn't be happy for him. Instead, he became consumed with jealousy, wondering why he couldn't afford such a luxury. Similarly, when his coworker received a promotion, Joe felt a pang of envy instead of celebrating their success. He constantly compared himself to others, always feeling like he fell short. Joe's jealousy didn't just affect his relationships, it seeped into his self-perception too. He began to see himself as inadequate, always trailing behind others. He was never content with his achievements, no matter how significant they were. This constant discontentment and comparison with others made Joe an unattractive personality. Jealousy, in essence, is a form of insecurity. It breeds negativity and resentment, which are certainly not attractive traits. It prevents us from appreciating our own worth and accomplishments. It's a toxic trait that can ruin relationships and hinder personal growth. What Joe failed to realize is that everyone has their own journey, their own pace of growth. Instead of being jealous, he could have been inspired by others' success. He could have used it as motivation to work harder and achieve his own goals. But all he saw was what he lacked, not what he had or could achieve. The irony is, Joe was actually quite successful. He was respected in his work, had a loving family, and a wide circle of friends. But his constant jealousy blinded him from seeing his own worth. It made him unattractive, not just to others, but to himself as well. We all feel a twinge of jealousy from time to time, It's human nature. But when it becomes a constant companion, it can seriously undermine our attractiveness. It's important to remember that everyone's life journey is unique. What matters most is being content with who we are and what we have. As seen in Joe's story, jealousy can seriously undermine a person's attractiveness. So, what have we learned from Alex, Peter, Ian, Dan, and Joe? Each has unwittingly shown us unattractive traits to avoid. Alex's arrogance was a lesson in humility. Remember, invite connection by showing interest in others, not only talking about your accomplishments. Peter's pessimism taught us the power of positivity. Be contagious with your optimism, even when life gets tough. Ian's insensitivity underscored the importance of empathy. Understanding others' feelings brings us closer, making us more attractive. Dishonest Dan reminded us of the crucial role of honesty in any relationship. Being true to yourself and to others will set you apart in a world where deception is widespread. Lastly, Jealous Joe's envy demonstrated the destructive nature of this emotion. Strive to improve, but don't compare yourself to others. Your journey is yours alone. Each of these men has reinforced the significance of humility, positivity, empathy, honesty, and contentment in shaping attractiveness. These traits won't turn you into a supermodel, but they'll make you someone people enjoy being around. Remember, it's not just about looks. Your personality plays a key role in your attractiveness too.